Let's go! Here's our guy joining us as he does every single Monday. Pro Bowl left tackle for the Tennessee Titans and co-host of the Bussin' with the Boys
Let's
podcast.
go, Kay.
Let's go! Let's go, Taylor!
Dude, what an intro every single time. It's amazing. You make me look way better than I actually am. What a week of football.
You're a
what
stud.
a week of football we have.
Let's get to it. More importantly, have you ever seen an alligator on the golf course?
No, because Kay, here's the deal. Golf is for people that have made it. I can't. There's no time to golf. I have no idea. When I'm driving on a Saturday afternoon, and I see a bunch of men out there ripping the golf course. I'm like, what do y'all do? What do y'all do for a living? And let me get in on that because I've probably played 5 holes my entire life. Now I did hear in the break somebody saying something about an alligator being in Las Vegas. And I believe that's never actually happened. That's
never actually happened. That's good to know. The Hangover 2, 3, we'll see. I'm sure somebody will write that into a script. But let's cut this off right here and put this on Twitter for Darius Butler, who's always golfing. And he's clearly a man who has made it. And we'll have to get his response to this accordingly. Okay, so let's talk about where do you even want to start here? Like, this is... Well,
listen, you talked about Browns-Ravens right before your thing there, and you said, are they going to make the playoffs? We had to ask Taylor Lewan that. Yeah, I'm sitting back. I'm sitting in the green room, hanging out, getting a bunch of information of what you're going to say. Browns are going to make the playoffs. Now, AFC North is it's the strongest division in football right now. As far as like the teams in there, it's wild. But if you look what the Browns are playing, they're playing the Steelers, Broncos, Rams, Jags, Bears, and Texans. And if the Texans keep going the way they're going, they can win 5 out of these next 6. That's what I'm thinking. The Browns are legit. And Deshaun Watson, I don't know if he like rookie of the year, that little kid with the shoulder, he gets a shoulder injury and comes back and throws heat. Like that's what Deshaun Watson's doing right now.
Yeah. Did you see the Myles Garrett response to your to what you were saying about the first time you faced each other?
I did not.
Oh, I'll have to send it to you. We don't have that queued up, do we? Oh,
was it good? Was it positive?
Let's see if we can grab that by the end of having Taylor here. That would be. I can't believe you didn't see that. The look on his face was great. I should have pulled that earlier in the show. Okay, so they're making the playoffs. Your Cowboys crushed it, but let's start. I want to give plenty of love to C.J. Stroud, who we sort of talked about as well. I mean, to me, this was the upset of the weekend. That I'm not saying I'm happy about it, but attaboy, right? And I know that you are very conflicted, I'm sure, about talking about an Ohio State Buckeye so nicely, but is C.J. Stroud, in another level of quarterback if we were to tier them? He's amazing. He's the best rookie quarterback I've ever seen.
This is, especially 2 weeks in a row, being able to do it the way he did it, having a 2-minute in the last 2 games and going down the length of the field to get a W, that's incredible. I really think, and I love Mondays because you get to sit there and overreact and say everybody's the best or the worst. I think the Texans are going to win the AFC South. I think that's what they're trending in right now. Jags laying an egg against the 49ers. They get back on track. And the Texans, they have a favorable schedule coming up that I think is going to put them in a good position to win the AFC South.
Okay, well, Texans take the division. We don't have to get deep into it, but since you're in your division, let's talk about those Titans, right? Tough loss to the old Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Will Levis, who, listen, I did a U on the show last week. I'm hearing, I can't say who, but amazing, sterling things about Will Levis because I really, really was. He struggled. If Tannehill was under center, do the Titans win that game?
I don't know because I don't think it was a quarterback issue in that game. He had a couple of throws that he hadn't really shown putting the ball in danger the way he did against the Bucs. I saw him throw up a muffin into triple coverage one time, and I was like, it's tough. But when you get into games like that where nothing's going your way, it's very difficult to protect. It gives Tim Kelly, the OC, a very difficult time of setting up plays. This game of chess that these coaches are playing at each other, Todd Bowles did an amazing job of throwing pressures, throwing scheme at him, running games against the man side, understanding where the protection was weak at, and taking advantage of that. And he really put Will Levis in a blender, that's for sure. And that was maybe where Ryan Tannehill probably would have been able to navigate those things a little better with the experience. But I feel like if you're gonna make the adjustment early in the week last week and say Will Levis is our guy, Tannehill is gonna sit there and he's gonna be a backup, he's gonna get ready like a starter and all that. You got to keep Will Levis in there. You got to keep rolling with it because he's only going to develop, and you can't. The sample size of 3 games is crazy. It's wild. I literally walked in here today. I walked in the bus. I go, "Hey, is Will Levis the guy, boys?" And one of our producers was like, "That is the most ridiculous comment you've ever made." And so I quickly rescinded that.
What was your big takeaway from watching yesterday action? What sort of blew you away?
Overall, or they're talking about Titans
overall.
Bucks? overall, I think the games were incredible. I think watching the Lions and the Chargers, watching that game, having the Houston Texans and the Bengals and that back and forth, Boyd dropping that touchdown. He's probably absolutely killing himself right now this morning, but he had a great game other than that. And it's not just one play, man. Like it's all good. And then you have the Browns and the Ravens. It's just, that was good over football, which is what we all love. Like seeing your team score a lot of points is a lot of fun, but like good dominant defenses, like make you more of a man. You know, if you're a fan of like the old Bears, you hit puberty twice when you watch like dominant defenses. But yesterday was a great week of watching offenses just throw the ball everywhere, all over the place, points on the board, and just get you excited about ball. Because I heard you talking before the break about the Bengals, and it's like not a whole lot to be excited about. And I thought to myself, damn, if I'm a Titans fan and we scored 27 points and lost, I'd be pretty damn excited. Like, oh shit, we can really do something out here. We can,
Good perspective.
So Greg, yeah, when you're having a rough time in Nashville, Tennessee, it's easy to see 27 points. Be like, hey, good try though, boys, huh?
From Chicago, I've abandoned and started supporting other teams.
Smart. That's a smart
move. Like the
move.
Bengals. Okay, the Lions. You mentioned the Lions-Chargers game. That's kind of like the first thing you said. So let's stick with that. It was a great game. Comes down to the wire. Now the Lions, they were like 4 or 5 on 4th down, and on the final drive to win the game, they converted a 4th and 2 rather than kicking a field goal to tie. Obviously, Dan Campbell, a bit of a maniac, a bit of a genius. What do you make of his aggressiveness?
I love it, dude. As a player, when you get in those situations, you're like, do you go for the tie? Do you go for 2? Do you go for a 4th? Like, as a player, you always want to go for it. No player ever wants to go to overtime, win or loss. You just want that out of the game completely from an exhaustion standpoint. But Dan Campbell, like, the psychoticness of going for it on 4th down and getting it when you could just kick the 3, I think is beautiful. I think it's beautiful. I mean, thank God it worked, because if not, we're seeing a completely different tune today. But I love that. I love the fact that coaches go for it in crunch time.
Can we talk about the Niners blowing out the Jags, which I didn't think was going to happen? You
didn't think so?
Well, I thought it was going to be one of the best games of the weekend. I was actually higher on the Jags than I think like a lot of, bigger media, or not bigger media, but like a lot of people were sort of not saying that. But they did get back Debo, right? So that was nice to see. And then Trent Williams, he's insane.
Yeah, dude, Trent Williams is probably the best offensive lineman to ever play the game of football. He is just a one of one as far as athletic ability, strength, movement, hips. Like, the guy is just different on so many levels. Like, from a technique standpoint, it's not the greatest, but it doesn't matter for him. He's so big and so strong. And then Debo as well, man. You see them drop 3 once Debo was out. And I know I had my messenger that said, hey, Brock Purdy's not the guy. I wake up this morning, I was like,
I know, I saw that.
Guy, yeah. But Debo, I mean, when he's in the game, they're 4-1 against the spread when he plays a full game. And so having that talent around you, and then having the comfort as a quarterback of knowing, hey, my blind side's solid no matter what, I'm going to be all right. That's got to make Brock feel a whole lot better, shaking that off after losing 3, going into a bye and coming back, man. It's awesome. The 49ers are a legit football team. Do
they have the best D-line in the league that you saw? I mean, it must hurt you to say that about Chase and Bosa, but they look good.
No, dude. I think they are the best D-line. That play especially, them both just meeting at the quarterback after a big trade. Like, as a Commanders fan, you're probably kicking yourself right now. But just 2 aliens on each side. You can slide to one, you can chip the other, but at the end of the day, one of them is going to get there. Like, that is a massive win for the 49ers that just became even stronger from a roster standpoint. It is big time. There's going to be big things coming out of 49ers if they just stay healthy. If they stay, that's the golden rule for everything, right? If you just stay healthy with the talent they have, they really have a shot to be hoisting that Lombardi trophy.
It's crazy. I was watching all the Christian McCaffrey post game, and it was all about like when your post game headline is like, you didn't score a touchdown on this day. Like, what is that like? What is that? Like, it's all I hate to explain why he didn't get the touchdown. I was like, this is like the embarrassment of riches over there in the Bay.
Yeah, I thought he handled it so well too.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I suck. He won 18 games in a row. He's like, I suck. Everybody scored but me.
Yeah, and he got his boy Juszczyk some love there, which I love to see. But when I see you talk about Trent and you watch some of that tape, like, would you say that Trent Williams is their most important player on offense?
Yeah, I think Trent Williams would be the most important player on any offense. Like, Offensive line, I mean, Joe Theismann back in the day is what made like left tackles get paid. We've all seen Blindside, and that little clip is where I took that from. But he is the epitome of there's people that are incredible athletes, and you see it all over the league. But then you see guys that are weighing 340 pounds and moving the way he does, and I am in awe of that man. I truly am. He is by far. He's probably the best player in the NFL. I really think that when he's on the field,
really think about it though, because it's going to go out there into the world. Like you think he's the best player in the NFL? I
think so. Yes,
Patrick
and especially,
Mahomes.
Yeah, but Pat's had an up and down ish year. Like they're winning games, but not in the fashion that we like to see the Kansas City Chiefs win. I think like Pat is like goated, but I'm saying like, it's so hard. Have people understand offensive linemen and how important they are, especially left tackle position, and not look at Trent Williams and be like, that is a godsend to any team. That's how much I think Trent's the man.
I mean, Debo thinks he's the man. He comes on our show every Tuesday. You mentioned Trent Williams, his face lights up, and you're seeing even on the tape yesterday against the Jags, the holes he's opening up for him. It is unbelievable what he's doing. Explain to me, someone who's never, I don't know if you know this, I've never been on an offensive line, even though,
really?
I'm scrappy and, whatever. Explain, what does he do? Why is it so important? Try to break it down for someone like me.
The reason why it's so important is he keeps your number one asset from a business standpoint healthy. Like having your quarterback healthy and upright is one of the most important things. When you have a guy that's an elite offensive lineman, especially at tackle, because guard, you can slide and move around a little bit. But when it comes to tackles, if you walk into a game and you're looking at the defensive end play this year, it seems like there's been more sacks than ever. I actually think I saw a stat on that. If you can go, all right, this guy's fine. Don't worry about him. Let's focus on all that. It opens up your playbook and your ability to push the ball down the field in a way that it's hard to explain and hard to get people to understand, because then you're able to slide. You're able to give more chips. You're able to help in certain areas. And McGlinchey's a great tackle too. Don't get me wrong, but Trent is truly one of one in my opinion.
I want to ask you about the Cowboys. It wasn't in my, we don't have any footage. It wasn't in my questions because they ran up the score on a kid who asked for more meatloaf to his mom every day, in Tommy DeVito. But what is it like, because you're on this roller coaster, like I've said, you are super glued your butt to the front seat of a Cowboys, America's team roller coaster that sometimes gets stuck upside down and sometimes is really thrilling and exciting. Are you impressed by what they did, or are you exhausted seeing the team that you're glued to beat up on teams that are inferior, and then not do it against tough teams?
I'm a little bit exhausted because they come out as 16 and a half point favorites, and it's like a big line, and I know everyone's getting into the gambling space now, and everyone's looking at that, and you're like, I'm kind of scared of it. But when you see the Giants, they're just abysmal. They're one of the worst teams in the league. And it's like, well, of course the Cowboys are going to do it. Of course they're going to score a whole bunch of points. Of course they average 34 points a game when they're playing at home and 27 away. But when you look at the games they've lost, aside from the Cardinals, the Eagles, contenders, 49ers, contenders. And then you see them just beat up on the Giants, which it's a divisional opponent. The Giants should play them a whole lot better. It shouldn't have been ran up that much. But at the same time, it's like, you got to get a statement win. You got to get a statement win, which is so funny because I'm literally speaking out both sides of my mouth because when I talked about the Dolphins last week.
No, not you. Taylor, not you.
Just get to the playoffs. And it's like, but there's such this crazy lens on the Cowboys, which we've talked about in the past, where Jerry's done a great job of promoting them as the greatest team in history. They have the Panthers next week, domination. The Commanders next week, they're going to win that game. Seattle, I don't know about that. Eagles, we definitely know what's probably going to happen there.
Yeah.
What I want to see.
I think the Commanders
December
beat
24th.
them on Thursday.
You think so?
On the 23rd, I do. Yeah, I do.
All right.
And
I think we'll revisit that
Thanksgiving,
that coming week.
That's Dolly Parton?
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked Sam Howell, do you know Dolly Parton is doing, she's singing apparently down at Hampton. He had no idea who that was. He had no idea who Dolly Parton was.
Are you kidding me?
I know, and I was like, and the old lady is shepherd's hooking herself out of here. He didn't know who Dolly was.
No.
I'm like, Dolly. No,
he should be destroyed for
Hamilton
that.
just texted me 640 yards for the Cowboys to the Giants 172.
It's disgusting. That's wild, especially for a Giants team that was bringing back most of their team who went to the playoffs last year. It's wild. They're in disarray there in New York. It's tough to see.
Should we ask you about? I mean, there was like a college question in here somewhere. Okay, so I don't, of course, don't know what's going on. I saw part of the Eisen video. I just, I don't have room in my heart for college right now. But everyone was watching, obviously, the Wolverines, Jim Harbaugh, the suspension, all of that. They get the win over Penn State. The win brings your interim head coach to tears. Did you, my friend, get emotional? What bothers you the most with what's going on in Michigan football right now?
At first I was getting real upset about it because, the judicial system of America is put on innocent before proven guilty. And it seems like they're not doing due process, which is like the key word all Wolverines are using right now. Sharon Moore is, I know you don't follow college, but he is probably the #1 assistant coach in all of college football.
Okay.
He's a guy that I'm sure on a year-to-year basis for the last couple of years, people have been trying to pluck him off to become a head coach somewhere in some sort of Power 5 conference. He is an outstanding individual. I have a great relationship with him, and to see the emotion from not only him but the players as well. Like Jim Harbaugh is a quirky guy that has been painted into this villain, and if that's the case, then why does every single player that played for him for the 49ers, that played for him at Stanford, that plays for him now at the Wolverines, at the Michigan Wolverines, like why is he so loved? He's just that dude. He's that dude. And here was my problem with Michigan. When I left Michigan, because I wasn't the biggest Michigan fan when I left. Michigan has a vibe of we're better than you, kind of nose up attitude. This, I think, is the greatest thing to happen to Michigan because it allows you to have an incredible team and be able to be painted as the villain, where they can essentially give you double birds and say, all right, go ahead and try and beat us. Well, you're a cheater. There's an asterisk, blah, blah, blah. Beat us then. Beat us, because now there's a microscope on us. And if we can't cheat, if we did, which it's all alleged right now, then go ahead, try to beat us. And so I think it's awesome, and it's great for college football. It's great for sports in general. Like God forbid they make it to the NCAA championship. Like people are going to lose their minds. It's going to be incredible.
They've got Maryland coming up, and then of course that Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend showdown with #3 ranked Ohio State. Appreciate all of that. Do you want to hear the Myles Garrett thing? You talked about Myles Garrett in your first meeting, your rookie year, and you said he gave you your flowers. It's the only time you guys ever met, and here is his response. I believe we have it.
He got me. I got my sack. He got his win. I mean, I wouldn't call it even, but, we're still going on strong. And, if he wants to make a comeback and we can even this up, I'm ready for the challenge. But he can have his one.
Thoughts?
The one is actually undefeated, Myles, and I appreciate that. I love this is a true competitor in Myles because he's like, I got my sack, he got his win. Myles, you and I know damn well that sack was not a sack. Like that is not a real sack. What we called was a shovel pass. And so what I do on that play is I hinge. I check the big gap to make sure there's no penetration in the big gap, and then I turn to wall off because the play is being ran to the right. And Marcus, there was something that happened. There was too much penetration, so Marcus didn't shovel it. He ate it and fell down. And if you're hinging, he's going to run right to the quarterback and touch him, giving him the statistic of a sack. Now, Myles, there were a lot of pass plays in that game, brother. A lot of pass games in that game. And no doubt, guy's a stud. He's an absolute stud, and he should definitely be looked at as Defensive Player of the Year, probably behind Max Crosby. But he should be looked at in that way for sure. He's a nail biter, game eater, war daddy, all the cool phrases you want to put on a defensive lineman. But
I'm dead.
Forever. I got you, Myles. And
Oh my God.
I'm 250. I'm 250. You're going to get around me, no problem right now.
I just love the fact that someday when Myles Garrett hangs it up and they're doing his Hall of Fame case, it's like the slam dunk case, like Jim Wyatt or like some Tennessee Titans like writer or something's going to stand up in their room and be like, but we should debate the fact that Taylor Lewan had his number and went undefeated against him. That's right. All I'm hoping for.
And it won't be Jim Wyatt. It'll literally be me dressed as Jim Wyatt, pretending to be Jim Wyatt. Like, hey, if you guys don't know this, Taylor Lewan actually beat him in his rookie year when he was figuring out his way around the league. Shout
out to Jim Wyatt. You're the best. Taylor Lewan, everybody saying that the Texans are winning the division. He's frustrated with the Cowboys. I'm telling you, Cowboys, y'all are going to lose him. Y'all are going to lose Taylor Lewan, who's had your back. What else did you tell me today?
Probably.
That Trent Williams is the best player in the NFL. That was the mic drop walk-off, and for that, we love you. And for that, we listen and support Bussin' with the Boys week in, week out, my man.
Appreciate you guys.
Let's
Have a good
go.
one.
You're the best. All right, Taylor Lewan,